This one's very important too, manage communication. Right? If you don't manage communication within your company and outside the company, and I'm talking about human communication here, if you don't manage it, someone will manage it for you. I mean, the recent events show us that the power of social networks. Bad news have always spread very quickly in human history, but now they spread in microseconds. It's unbelievable. They used to have that old expression in World War II, right? Loose lips sink ships. Well, now it can sink acquisitions, and I can tell you from experience that I have seen acquisitions being torpedoed by rumors. So it's very important to control. You cannot stop communication. It's very important to control the source. Right? People know due diligence when they see it. You can't fool people. They will know that something is going on. And they're going to be afraid. They're going to be afraid for their job. They're going to be afraid for the future of the company. So you have to be proactive about it. Keep your folks who work for you and other people in the company in the loop. At the same time, tell them that they have to handle information in a confidential manner. Like I said, social media is not making it any easier, so it's very important to talk to your folks. Right? All it takes is one scale, disgruntled employee, to talk on Facebook, and you can torpedo the whole acquisition. And negotiate a communication plan with the CEO. Very often you're going to be told, don't say a word to anybody. It doesn't work. So you have to push back and say, that doesn't work. We need to let people know in an orderly fashion. In particular, the IT staff is going to be very concerned, right, about their future. Your staff and the people that, if you're buying another company, the people that are going to join your staff are going to be very concerned. They're going to be afraid that their job will become redundant or obsolete. So communicate, be honest with it, right? Do it often, do it early. If you're buying a business, be there on day one. Go and greet your new staff on day one. You'll be surprised. I have seen businesses where, 2 years after an acquisition, the CIO had never met the IT staff. That is not a good idea. Right? So listen to that concern. Be honest. There will be changes. They know it. Don't try to hide it, but explain what kind of changes you're anticipating and why. And make the case with your management for any delayed downsizing. Right? IT is going to be instrumental to the success of the acquisition. Whether you're on the acquirer or acquirer side, your IT folks are going to be very, very important to the success of this acquisition. So, tell the CEO, tell the buying company that, look, I know you want to cut costs, as they always do. Don't cut costs, don't be harsh, don't cut costs too early, otherwise it will cost you more later. And let people get used to the new organization, let the talent percolate to the top, and then you can make rational decision as to who has it to survive in the new company. Another mess you're going to inherit, and again, it's always a mess, it's going to be security. You buy a company, you don't know what you're getting. Security is going to be more likely, it's not going to be up to your standards. Not to say they have bad standards, but everybody has a different approach. You may have disgruntled employees. So how do you deal with that? First of all, you can be proactive about it, and you can insist on things like antivirus, security scans, things like that, to be performed prior to the sale, so you don't inherit the disaster on day one. And then lay down the law. Right? You have policies. You impose those policies on your own users. Right? You have computer use policy, you're going to have password complexity rules, firewall rules, web filtering rules. There is no transition for that. You acquire a business, these rules apply that morning at 8 a.m. Make sure people understand that. Work with the IT staff of on the other side to implement those rules right away. Right? This is one area you don't have to be a good guy. Engage an independent security auditor if you don't have your own capabilities. Day one, you're going to want to have a complete scan of your assets. Make sure that you have no vulnerability, everything is up to speed, everything is upgraded and updated. And then leverage the technologies that you have. So in our case, we have SCCM, we use Forefront, we use Visual Studio. Whatever you use those tools to take control immediately of the assets, at least inventory, create a baseline, save a copy of all the application, right? So if, in case anything happens, you have a baseline image that you can restore. Very important. That has to happen day one. You have to make the business understand that this is not negotiable. This one's a tough sell. And basically, IT has to take the lead on most of the merger and acquisition activities. That's pretty scary for business folks. But guess what? It's the truth. You have to take the lead on non-IT activities. Things like merging the chart of account, converting accounts payable, accounts receivable, HR, payroll information, CRM information. Very often those departments obviously want to control the data, but they don't have any experience, in most cases. They don't have any experience doing it the right way. And you'll have a mess that you'll be called in to clean up unless you can dictate a methodology up front. So be proactive and make them understand that, yes, it's your project, but this is the way you need to do it. Because otherwise, everybody will have rework and you'll end up in charge anyway. More than that, though, is IT, the project management office, if you have one, sometimes it's just CIO, has to volunteer their leadership to help in these projects. And it's very important that you volunteer that leadership ahead of time. Right? Share your collaboration tools. You're using SharePoint, some other intranet. You have more experience, most likely, than everybody else in the organization using things like Microsoft Project. You are used in IT to deal with complex systems and interaction between computers and humans, and you're used to dealing with multiple departments. That's what we do in IT every day, right? Share that knowledge. Offer it to the rest of the organization. Provide sandboxes. That's something I've learned is very effective. Let's say that your accounts receivable people want to test the data they're going to inherit during the acquisition. Give them an ERP to play with, right? Set up a virtual one. This is where virtualization has really been a game changer in M&A over the last few years. You can virtualize your entire environment. Let them play with it. Let them see what happens when they merge all the receivable from another business, what it does to their aging, right? Or what it does to their payroll. And if they blow it up, you don't care, right? You just build another virtual environment, try again. So this is an opportunity for us to share the technology that we already have in IT to allow our other business partners to do a good job at migrating that acquisition. Most likely now you have some compliance to deal with. Right? If you're a public company like Capstone, you get Sarbanes-Oxley. If you take credit card, you have to be PCI compliant. You may be compliant, have to be compliant with the SEC, with HIPAA, with EPA regulations. Usually, in most cases, you have at most 12 months to be compliant. That's not a lot of time. Right? So really, in most cases, do not have the liberty of having a temporary setup and say, well, we'll make it right later. You have to plan to be compliant from the get-go. And the time to do it is those first 30 days that I mentioned. So plan on robust and well-documented integration. That's where the middleware comes into play. Right? You have middleware that we stored. You can start building those interfaces in a way that could live for years. And sometimes you don't know what application you will be keeping. So build them solid from the get-go. Implement change management, access control, configuration management. Day one. Again, they're your policy, you're buying a business, put them in place. Right? So that when the auditors look at what you've done, they know that everything was being controlled tightly from the first day. And leverage your technology, like I said, Bespoke or any kind of middleware, SCCM or other system management products. Visual Studio is another one we use as well, and you can take images and essentially put everything under version control. Last but not least, and this one is very often ignored, especially by companies that don't do a lot of acquisitions. Acquisitions lead to divestitures. Right? And there's multiple reasons for that. Could be a regulatory constraint. You see that a lot in banking, for instance. Right? A bank buys another bank and has to sell off some branches on day one. You see that in telecommunication, pharma. So that could be imposed to you on you by the government. Very often, you sell part of the business that you bought to either pay for the acquisition or to finance the next acquisition. So that's sometimes you see companies do that. They flip businesses, and sometimes complete business alignment. Right? Acquisitions are like a marriage. You get the bride and you get the ugly relatives, and the difference is we have the right to get rid of the relatives we don't want in case of an acquisition. And you'll see a lot of business look at their core their core competencies and say, well, we like what we bought, but there's always a piece we don't really care about. Either way, very likely, if you have an acquisition, you'll probably have a divestiture or year or two down the road. And how do you deal with it? Well, you already have a methodology, right? So when you think about your methodology for acquisition, think about how you will get rid of part of your business. And what it means is you have to be ready to cut the cord. You have to have your interfaces well documented. You have to understand the interaction between your systems. If you can, if you know what division could be sold, not always obvious, but if you know, virtualize their apps so that you can migrate them to another platform very quickly. Use the middleware, again, to make it easier to cut the cord. Right? It's very difficult when you have custom integration, custom interfaces to stop them overnight. So leverage virtualization and leverage middleware. So in conclusion, you want to survive in mergers and acquisitions, do what we're trying to do. Build an infrastructure that's flexible. Know your systems. Documentation is key. Know your cost structure. You won't know how much it's going to cost you unless you are aware of your incremental cost. Take a leading role in M&A activities and not just the IT part of it, but just be a leader when it comes to project management. And leverage your existing infrastructure so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Thank you very much.